We are back on the Morgan Streetman Show, and we were talking about home prices here, specifically in our Tampa Bay area, not only our state that everyone wants to move to, and we've seen those continue to rise, especially here.
Well, yeah, in Tampa Bay, it's been pretty bad, and a lot of the people that live here or rent here, particularly older folks that rent here, are finding things to be somewhat unaffordable. In fact, there was a story in one of our local news stations on their website saying some retirees move away from Tampa Bay, and it talks about, you know, this increase in the cost of housing, increase in other items of inflation. They mentioned the study in Realtor.com and a study in Redfin where Tampa ranks third among the nation, all cities in the nation, that homebuyers are looking to move to. So there's the demand. Okay, the supply we know is fairly fixed because they can only build homes so fast, and believe me, they're building them as fast as they can. But when you've got, you know, approximately 1,000 people moving to the state of Florida every single day, you're thinking, you know, maybe 200 to 250 are probably winding up here, at least in the Bay Area. So that's a lot of demand for rental units, for houses. And you can see with all that incoming demand why the prices are skyrocketing, because the supply is what you call inelastic. It can't change really fast. They can't bring on just 5,000 new units of housing just by snapping their fingers. That's got to be built. It's got to be permitted, environmental studies, construction, yada, yada. It's a lot of work. So it's not easy to quickly increase the housing supply. Again, housing supply is what you call in economics inelastic, meaning it doesn't stretch very easily, right? So that's what we're experiencing. And folks are starting to leave. And where are they going? Apparently, they're mostly going to Lakeland. Lakeland is booming because of all the people, they say, from Central and Southwest Florida, and they're primarily talking about the Tampa Bay area and Orlando, are now moving to Lakeland because they're finding it to be more affordable in terms of housing costs and overall cost of living. By the way, Lakeland's a beautiful city, a very enjoyable little city to move to, so I can understand why people would want to move there. Certainly couldn't blame them for that. And, of course, Polk County is the fastest growing county in the state of Florida. And in the entire nation, it's ranked seventh among all U.S. counties in terms of growth. And so that would include all those counties in Texas where all the people, like around Austin, where all the people from California are moving. Last thing I'll point out, I love this at the end of the article because they have a financial advisor who's giving them some quotes for the article. And at the end, it reports that she expects inflation levels to return to normal in the near future. And that's almost like what we heard from Jerome Powell. I mean, what was it, about 8, 9, 10 months ago, almost a year ago, where they were talking about inflation is just transitory. You remember us reporting on that and that phrasing? And you were seeing that in the news. I mean, that was on the crawler at CNN. Don't worry, inflation's just transitory. It's going to go away any moment now, and everything will go back to normal. So just stay calm. And that's the same kind of drivel they're continuing to feed us. I mean, you understand once the prices go up in inflation environment, they don't usually come back down later. Now, we could see some decline based on a drop-off in demand. In other words, people just can't afford it anymore. That's a possibility. But now we're going to get into some complex economic stuff, and I didn't really want to make that the story of this. The point is, folks that want to retire to Florida, traditionally a retirement destination, are now finding themselves priced out, at least of the Tampa Bay market, and they're going to places, I would imagine, like Plant City, Lakeland, Dade City, at least from here in the Bay Area, little towns like that, maybe down to Bradenton and other places to try to get away from some of this inflation that we're all experiencing here in the Bay Area.
And then you have the issue of the interest rates going up as well.
Well, and that's not going to help, right, people to get into houses, because that's part of what they've been able to do is get into houses that they maybe couldn't really afford because the interest rates have been so low. They've also been doing something interesting that we'll talk about in a minute in the show, and that is they've been borrowing from the equity in their homes. That's been very common as we've had the refinance trend that's happened with these lower interest rates. And folks, that's great. I mean, refinancing probably makes sense in a lot of cases, but I can also tell you, and the data shows, people are literally borrowing from the equity in their home to make ends meet now, which is not a good trend because ultimately the equity runs out, your borrowing capacity runs out, and you just can't get any more money out of that pot of gold. Thank you for listening to the Morgan Streetman Show. We hope you enjoyed what you heard, and if you did, please click like and subscribe to help us out.
And remember that we recommend that you exercise your brain at least once a week.